My nervous system was just operating on fumes, and it ended up with me being reliant on a wheelchair for years, when I should have been out enjoying my life and having fun, and my body had just over years had enough. But there is a happy ending to this story. I'm not there anymore.
Are you ready to transform your health journey? Welcome to the Holistish Podcast, where science meets holistic wellness to help you take control of your health. I'm Lianne, an osteopath with a background in psychology, athletic therapy, and occupational therapy, here to guide you through practical ways to feel your best without relying solely on doctor visits or prescriptions. Join me each week for deep dives, expert insights, and real-life wellness experiments as we explore the powerful connection between body and mind. Whether you're new to holistic health or just looking for fresh perspectives, you're in the right place. Let's start unlocking your healthiest, happiest self together. This is the Holistish Podcast. Before we dive in, a quick reminder. I'm an osteopath, not a medical doctor, and this podcast is for informational purposes only. The content shared here is based on my personal experience in education in health and holistic wellness. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have about your own particular situation and your health. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's get on with the show. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you've had a great week so far. I just got off an amazing call with an amazing person with a super fascinating story. Her name is Jenny Adams, and she is someone I met back a few months ago at BBD Live. So this is a group where a bunch of online entrepreneurs meet up and talk about our common goals and sharing our talents online. And so Jenny and I actually kept in touch after the conference, and we just got talking a lot about our common interests all around the nervous system. And Jenny has a really, really interesting story all about how she was diagnosed with ME-CFS. So it's basically chronic fatigue syndrome. And she had her symptoms so severe that it was to the point where she was dependent on physical aids. So sometimes she needed a wheelchair to get around or a walker. And she talks about how when she finally let go of just being told she will always need these physical aids, how she finally found her own cure by following different holistic health practices in order to help her get better. And a big part of it for her, a big unlock, was actually regulating her nervous system. So I don't want to give too much away because Jenny tells her own story way better than I ever could. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Jenny Adams to this week's podcast episode. Jenny Adams, welcome to the Holistish Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting to be on. I was just listening to your one of your episodes on
Were you
the way
really?
to my office. Yeah.
Oh, those are the first 5 that have been uploaded, and there are a lot of the introduction stuff. So hopefully it was interesting.
Yeah, I was listening to your nervous system one because obviously I love to nerd out on the nervous system, and I was listening on the way back from my osteopath, funnily enough. So good timing.
Lovely. And it sounds like we're going to bond a lot over the nervous system today because from what I understand, when we first met and started chatting, you were telling me how the doctors used to tell you may have to be wheelchair bound and never walk again. And it looks like through different tools that you've done by going on your own journey and incorporating the nervous system, you have turned that completely around. So can you dive in and tell us a bit about you and how you got to where you're at today?
Yes, I would love to share. And first of all, I would just kindly like to say reliant on a wheelchair rather than wheelchair bound is not like, it just feels a bit
Fair enough.
So for anyone listening who may use a wheelchair from time to time, and that is another thing, is when people see you get out of it, they're like, oh my God, you're not paralyzed. It's like, no, it's a tool to be used sometimes. So I'm 34. I spent a lot of my 20s reliant on a wheelchair or a mobility scooter because I unfortunately got so sick from ME-CFS, or chronic fatigue syndrome, which I personally think and believe now came on from trauma, undiagnosed and therefore unmanaged and unsupported ADHD, which I only got diagnosed with last year. And just having this, what I call protective personality type of people pleasing, pushing, masking, just not feeling enough and pushing to the limits and going past them and going through burnout, push through burnout. I can do this. I'm a strong person. Keep going, keep going, keep going, until one day my body just went, nope. It was after a stressful weekend, and anyone who's got ME-CFS would know about PEM, or post-exertional malaise. The couple of days after you've exerted yourself and you just can't do anything. You're not just tired, you have no energy. And this hit me in the middle of my working day when I tried to get up and just walk to the toilet. And I couldn't. And it was petrifying to just not have the energy to literally stand up and go to the bathroom. And that was a real, I'm not even going to say turning point. That was just one of these horrible moments in my life where I was like, something is not right. And from that point, there was just a series of events, bad relationships, car accident. My nervous system was just operating on fumes. And this happened, and it ended up with me being reliant on a wheelchair or scooter for years, when I should have been out enjoying my life and having fun, and my body had just over years had enough. But there is a happy ending to this story, not just mine, but I see this in my clients as well. I'm not there anymore. I am fit and healthy. I am still a sensitive person with a sensitive nervous system, but I know that now. And most of the time, I am in balance, looking after myself. So yeah, if you want to hear how I got there.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it started off tough for you, because that's really in your 20s, right? When it's supposed to be the big prime in your life, when you have all the energy and you have all the abilities to do everything you want. And it's really wild how, when we don't listen to the cues our bodies are giving us, how over time, if we ignore it, life's going to send you a little rock, or a little pebble, I should say, then a rock, and then a boulder. So it sounds like your boulder was a big one.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, and there had been plenty. I mean, I say it in you get the whispers, and then you get the talking, then you get the shouts, and then you get the screams.
Yeah, I like that analogy too.
I had definitely had a lot of them, and I had just ignored them. So I can look back now and I'm like, yeah, I kind of should have listened to that, but I didn't, and I learned the hard way. And so do so many other people, unfortunately, which is why we're doing what we're both doing, to say, don't let it get to this point, please. It's not pleasant.
Please see the signs now, so we don't get to that point and you don't become like us. Yeah. And so tell me more about once, obviously, you were having this trouble not being able to even get up to go to the bathroom. What happened after that when you started? I imagine you went to consult your doctor, or you went to get more testing done to see what was going on. What happened next?
Yeah, and I had been back and forth to the doctor for, I think at this point, 8 years, just saying something's not right. I'm not well. I got glandular fever when I was 15, 16. And just ever since then, something has just been off. And to me, bless my naive teenage brain, I was always hearing adults saying oh, I'm tired and my knees hurt and I'm aching. And I thought, oh, is this just what being an adult is? Just being tired and achy? Oh,
I hear that all the time too. And I'm like, well, that's not what we're looking forward to, but it almost sets up a platform of, well, that's what to expect. So you expect that to be normal.
Exactly. And no one had really questioned it or said Jen, this isn't right. There was a little whisper saying this is not right. I was working in, a teenage job. I'd work a Saturday job, and I'd come home and it would take me the rest of the weekend to recover from maybe like a 4-hour shift. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of those whispers, but having gone back and forth to the doctors for years and saying I'm tired all the time, they'd run blood tests and say, oh, everything comes back as normal. And having worked with a holistic nutritional therapist who has run bloods on me now and said, yeah, do you know normal basically means let's look at your demographic in your area, and if you fit within the bell curve, that's normal. So if in your area, let's say, everyone has a BMI of 40 and yours is 20, yours is abnormal, not healthy.
Right.
So I'm like, hang on, so you're comparing my normal to what might be unhealthy, and the parameters are really large. And so having worked with her, we're like, okay, maybe there is a bit more going on. But I've worked with her much more recently. I wish I knew this at the time. The doctors just said, everything's normal, you must be fine. Maybe it's in your head. Have you tried going to bed a bit earlier? And just not really getting anywhere, or getting given antidepressants.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
So I was on those for a long time. And, it's that like chicken and egg. What comes first? I think anyone who's listening that has a chronic illness, you're probably not the happiest, most joyful person. Because if you're chronically exhausted and chronically in pain, it's hard to not let that mentally affect you.
Absolutely.
So was the depression and anxiety because of my illness? Yes, I very much think so.
It can create such a veil over everything. Even if you can be a generally positive person, but you always have this extra aches or pains or low energy or not feeling like you can function over time, it's very hard to stay positive in all of that.
Yeah, and it kind of grinds you down as well, because I would say I am generally quite an upbeat, positive person, but some days, and a lot of that was like the masking as well of like, yeah, I'm good, put a smile on, don't show emotion, don't cry, someone's got it worse than you, you're just tired, like keep all of that in, and then at some point the lid comes off and it explodes into just sobbing and emotion and tears and all of this, and over like a tiny thing.
Right.
And again, not knowing what's going on, it was a pretty uncomfortable journey. But eventually, once I had this like I can't get up and go to the toilet moment, that was when I really started pushing the doctors and being like, look, this is not right. I'm 22, 23. And they did, I think they monitored me for a few months, sent me off to a consultant, and eventually I got a diagnosis of ME-CFS. And I remember just feeling so validated, someone in authority telling me, you're not crazy, like this is an actual thing. And then on the other side, then immediately being told, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
Not really.
Because when I was looking up on it, it looks like there isn't even a specific test to really diagnose it, right? So they go by symptoms, I imagine.
Yeah. And it's a very controversial kind of umbrella diagnosis, because there is no specific like biomarker. And because so many people have recovered from ME-CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID now, they are very similar conditions. There's no specific biomarkers for them, but so many people have recovered through lifestyle changes and nervous system regulation. And finding that safety within our body, and that is how I ultimately recovered and got better. But there are a lot of people, because there's been years and years and years and years of being dismissed by doctors and gaslit, essentially, that anyone that says, not anyone, but often when I say, well, I have fully recovered, and I did that partly through nervous system regulation and changing some big things in my life, that some people get very attached to the identity of being chronically ill. And because there's no biomarker, they're like, well, you couldn't have really been sick. We're just waiting for the doctors. We're waiting for the scientists to find the thing. And then once the thing happens, there'll be some magic pill that fixes the thing and it will go away.
Yeah, a lot of people rely on the pill for fixing their issues, but it sounds like there's so many other tools that can be used in order to really get to the root cause of it all and feel better. Because you never know also what, even if they do develop a pill for that, what kind of side effects is that going to bring on? And isn't it more rewarding to not need a pill at all and feel better?
And this is part of the recovery journey that I went on, and I see in so many of my clients as well, that, you know, it is such a holistic thing that it's not just what's going on in maybe your immune system. What are the relationships you're having? You know, that whole like biopsychosocial model.
Yep.
Have you got trauma? What's going on in work? What are you eating? How much daylight are you getting? Are you moving? Like all the things.
All the things.
The boring advice we all kind of know.
But no one does. Or
exactly.
Not a lot of people do.
Yeah. And I say this from a place of love and compassion, because I used to think that. If I heard very rarely of the recovery stories, which I didn't hear much of back then, I would just think, oh, well, you didn't really have it, or, you know, you're just trying to sell us something. Mm-hmm. And I see those people, and they're not ready yet. They unfortunately probably have some more suffering to do. And if they're hearing this and going, that sounds like me, and there's a tiny, weeny inkling of, is there another way? Is there another possibility? Am I so solidly held in this belief that I have that I cannot budge? Then if you are so solid, maybe it's not your time. If there's a tiny, weeny, oh, actually, this is a belief. What is a belief? Something we just think is fact for ourselves. Okay, we can look at politics. People believe very different things. Neither are necessarily fact.
No.
Can we question there's another option? And that's the first step in the process of actually getting better and recovering.
That's it. It's not necessarily to believe one extreme on a whole spectrum, but to actually embrace that whole spectrum of, it doesn't have to be either just the pill or just going kumbaya by a fire and meditating all day. It's really about finding the different pieces that can align with helping you recover in your own way.
Yeah. And one thing I say to clients a lot, and like when we're changing our lifestyle or belief and we're looking for balance, if we think of like, what is balance? Like, do you remember those old school, like tipping, the balancing scales?
Yeah.
You know, you have to go one way and then it tips too far the other way. And then we kind of slowly find that little, where is that balancing point? And I mean, I will honestly say life is just like that. We are always rebalancing and tipping. But Absolutely. It started a bit like this.
And I see that even to this day in clinic with my clients, where I'll be, they may have one flare up of a certain ache or pain somewhere one day, and it could be because they're overloaded with stress. So you help calm their nervous system through manual techniques to help them calm that down. But then another day it could flare up in another tender point that they have, but that's related to a mechanical issue. And it's always about, like you're saying, which scale is tipping more and which one do we have to balance out for that day? And I think that's kind of the beauty of life with too, is being able to just be fine-tuned into those signals so you know which one you need to address on any given day, because it is always going to be something to address. Maybe there are some who are blessed with not having to deal with a lot of this, but I can speak as someone who has dealt with a lot of chronic pain and issues and my own things to unpack, that every day is a little bit different on what you feel like you have to cater to. And maybe that sounds like labor, but I actually say it from a place of love, where it's like, what part of me just needs a little more TLC today? So I don't know if it's like that for you, but that's the way I like to see it.
Yeah, 100%. And especially for anyone that has a menstrual cycle as well.
Oh boy.
Chuck some hormones in there as well. And it is literally like every day.
Yeah.
Like I use natural cycles and an aura ring, and I swear by these.
Yeah.
And I check in as much as I can daily to just see what's going on, what's going on with my ADHD symptoms, like digestion, energy levels, aches and pains. And interesting what you just said as well, because I've just been to see my osteopath, who's also my Pilates teacher.
Love it.
And yeah, she's brilliant. And
Best
she
combo
yeah,
ever, honestly.
yes. Yeah, really, really helpful, especially for my hypermobile, highly sensitive body.
Yep.
And I've been saying, I've had this inflammation in my left SI joint for a while, 6 months-ish. There's something going on in my shoulders. And I know there's something going on with my nervous system, because it was all on my left shoulder. It's all on my right shoulder now. And they ping pong back and forth.
Yep.
I know there's some hypermobile stuff. There's some tension. There's some postural mechanical stuff. But also she was like, "You're doing much for your nervous system at the moment." And I'm like, yeah, this is kind of what I specialise in. And yeah, there's probably some room for improvement. So I'm pruning my schedule at the moment to see what I can take out. And I'm also aware I've just got married. Yay, thank you. I'm also planning another ceremony for later in the year. And we're moving house.
Oh, so life's crazy right now.
Yeah, life's pretty busy. So I'm like, I'm doing the best I can with what I have. Sometimes you just can't put certain things on pause, but you're like, actually, I put my podcast on pause for a few months. That is something I have control over right now.
Yeah, and life goes in seasons like that. And it just sounds like you're in a big season of a lot of big life change, which completely, we have to be able to set those limits and respect what as much as our body can handle in that moment. And even if you're doing well and you're not suffering with any kind of flare-ups at the moment, it's always good to be able to take that step back and go, what do I need right now in order to get through this blitz or this intense moment? And then to be able to come back to that and know that those other projects will still be there.
Yeah. And I think not waiting for the flare up either, because that was how I used to operate.
Me too.
Because I'd push and push and push until I broke. I just stopped.
And then you finally take the break. But you just get back to a little plateau of, okay, now I'm functional again, but you're not ever actually thriving again.
Nope.
Right.
No. Whereas now I am much better most of the time at listening to those little niggles of like, oh, that was a bit much. Okay, what changes can I make? Like either right now, or like maybe it's taking some stuff out of my schedule. Maybe I've literally just texted my husband and said, "Are you working on Sunday? Can we go to a spa day?" And he's texted back and he said, "It's very needed." I'm like, yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
I love it.
Sunday, please.
I love it. So you went through, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of, self-monitoring in order to get better. Were there certain therapeutic modalities, like you say you go see your osteopath, but is there any other types that you use? Like, were you a fan of acupuncture, any other type of therapeutic modalities you want to tell us about? Quick pause for a second. I just wanted to take a moment to say, if this material is resonating with you, I would love for you to come and join my free community over on School. That's SKOOL.com. The group I have is called Ask the Osteopath, and we talk about all different types of topics around your health and well-being. Yes, there's foundations in osteopathy, but we keep it to a broader range all around holistic health and wellness in order to optimize your everyday well-being. So if this sounds like a place you'd like to be, I invite you to go to school.com/osteo. And now, back to the episode.
Yes. So I've kind of talked about like the then and the now. And if I kind of fill you in on the bit between.
Yeah.
So I went to see a private doctor, and I think in Canada you're similar in like national health system to us-ish.
We have a public system that's very overflowing, but the private system is also starting to get very full. So we have a bit of a problem.
Okay. And I don't know about the attitude there, but certainly in the UK, I think because the NHS has historically been so good, it kind of disempowers people to actually go and do something themselves.
Right.
So actually putting your hand in your pocket and paying for a specialist versus going to the doctor, it was one of those turning points where I was just like, I have had enough. This was 2017. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to book an appointment with a private, I think she was an immunologist, because I traveled a lot when I was younger. And I thought, is this some weird like disease fever thing that's been picked up that they don't pick up on the generic blood test? Like, let's go have a full blood screening. Panel. Yep. And see, is it something that hasn't been picked up?
That's very good intuition that you do, because I know someone who was a friend of a friend where she traveled somewhere and her pancreas actually got affected with a parasite that started to deteriorate her whole hormonal system. And in our traditional system, it didn't pick up. Everything was normal.
Wow.
And it's only once she went private, like you're saying, that she got to the bottom of it. So sorry to cut you off, but I can definitely relate to what you're saying.
Yeah, and sometimes it's important, like, you know, I think it cost me £1,000. So it was a fair bit of money, but I had that year I think I'd taken a 30 grand pay cut because of my health.
Right.
So it was like one of those perspective of like, I can keep suffering like this and making all these sacrifices and losing my life, or maybe let's try this. Let's put some money to this and see what happens. And that was the first time I had sat down in a doctor's office and been listened to for an hour.
What a difference, eh?
Yeah. And I've got quite a complicated backstory. Like, I've had allergies from a young age. My dad died when I was 13. We traveled a lot. You know, abusive relationship. Like, there's a lot there. There's various different illnesses, eczema, asthma. I'm complicated. And in a 10-minute appointment, doctors do not have the time to go into any of that. So for this doctor to sit and listen to me, but it wasn't necessarily the content of what she was getting out of me, but it was a big pivotal moment for me of, oh, my voice matters and someone here is helping me and is listening. And I'm allowed to take up space. Wow. Okay.
What a difference that makes in your experience already.
Yeah. That was huge.
But one thing that really is interesting is, as an osteopath, a lot of people come to us and that's what they say. And I did actually a study in it to get my official certification. And it was all about post-concussion syndrome. So people who were just suffering for months, if not years, of just dizziness, brain fog, their nervous system shot. And funny enough, when I measured my case study, we spent the first hour just talking and assessing. And I evaluated him, but then I sent him home. And then in the next session, one of the biggest improvements he got throughout our whole time together was that hour I just let him speak and acknowledge. And he actually had symptom reduction and on all levels. And we got more results after, but that was probably the biggest breakthrough of my whole research study. So I love that you had that experience as well, because already it sounds like with that doctor, your nervous system was already starting to heal.
Yeah. And it wasn't literally in that fight. I'm fighting to be heard. Yes. I'm fighting to be listened to. I could just kind of lean back and settle into, oh, there's a connection.
Yes.
I'm being listened to. I'm safe here. This person is wanting to help, not just give me some pills and dismiss me.
It's so important.
It's interesting you say about your study as well, because I see this in my clients, especially us ADHDers who have probably had years and years and years, decades, being told we talk too much, we're too much. Just, you know, can you just say it a bit less, or, you know, you're a chatterbox. All of this we've had to put up with our whole lives.
Also being a woman. Just being a woman, you take up space if you speak up a little bit.
Yes. There's many layers.
There's many layers to that, aren't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, yes. The first few sessions I don't tend to do much. There's not much intervention. There's not much steering. A little bit. Mm-hmm. It's just giving them a chance to be heard.
Yes.
And just being in that space of being heard and noticing that, oh, sorry, am I talking too much? Am I taking up too much time? Just noticing these things and being like, it's your time. Mm-hmm. There is no problem. If it's here, let it out. and just rewiring, repatterning your nervous system to be like, my voice is important. I can take up space as much as the next person. And with that, people meet you in that energy that, yes, your needs are important. Not, oh, I'm really sorry, I shouldn't be here. And no, God, you're a nuisance. So there's an energetic part to this as well.
Absolutely. And I imagine after a few sessions, even if there are a few sessions with you, your clients must change in their demeanor. Even the way they carry themselves must change, just because at least they know at that time with you, you're giving them that space to really shine.
Yeah, it is their space to take up space. And there's still sometimes a patterning of sorry, but there's less of it. There's a lot of, I know that you understand this, or
oh yes,
I can talk to you about this, but no one else gets it.
Yeah. It's funny because sometimes I wonder, I say sorry a lot, but there is part of a Canadian heritage to that where we just say sorry next to everything. But then sometimes I sit back and I go, oh, is it really just because Canadians do that, or is it because of something deeper? And funny enough, that goes into a whole other rabbit hole. But
oh yes, yeah. I know, yeah. Let's not go.
We don't have to go down that one today.
We can go down the colonization route. And one thing I like to shift is thank you. Not sorry I'm late. Thank you for waiting. And just that little shift of we're empowered rather than disempowered.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing. Even in emails, sometimes if I take too long right back, I used to say so sorry for my lateness, and now it's thank you for your patience or thank you for waiting, and it's a big shift.
Yes, exactly. And I think because I got confused with our podcast meeting and scheduling and stuff, and I'm pretty sure when we came on just now, I was like, thanks for bearing with me with all the disorganizational stuff. Because it is what it is sometimes, isn't it?
It is. And thank you. It could have been me with my tech stuff. I could have had you sitting in the weight room for 20 minutes trying to figure it out. And I would have been like, thanks for bearing with me. Because I'm not that techie.
So anyone listening, try it. If you notice you're a sorry person, turn it into a thank you.
Absolutely. Big shift.
So going back to the doctor, she didn't find anything on her screening. There wasn't like a big, like you mentioned your friend of a friend, there wasn't like, oh, it's this parasite thing.
Right.
So what she said to me was go and see an osteopath. And she's recommended this specific one, and go and see this personal trainer. And he was all right, but what it gave me a taste of was I could start to move in a safe way. The osteopath, I had no idea what was going on. I went in for like half an hour. I led down, he put his hands under me, moved a few times, and then I'd get in the car and I'm like, oh my God, why has one leg like got 3 inches shorter than the other one? And this is where I was like, just recalibrating. I think my nervous system has been so sensitive that when it's overly sensitive, you just shut it all down.
Right.
And I wasn't really feeling. Having gone to the osteopath today, she was doing some cranial, sacral, spinal fluid stuff.
Yep.
You'll know the technical terms. And every time there was that little pump of my sacrum, I was getting this like, just this little pulse and like almost like the heartbeat, like a wave of something in my head. And I'm like, okay, I can feel this now.
I love it.
These little sensitive little things that I was just too desensitized to feel previously.
Yeah, that tends to happen. The more you do and the more you release, the more and more you'll start to feel those mini shifts in your session. And also what you felt is actually what we call the primary respiratory movement of your cranial sacral system. So it's like its own little breathing pattern, but not like breathing from your lungs. It's like it's a rhythm just that your body's always doing, whether you're breathing or not. Of course, you have to breathe to stay alive and have the movement, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. And doing some Taoist practices as well. They talk a lot about like, hang on. They talk about the sacral cranial pump and how we can kind of move energy up and down our spine as well. And yeah, just the more you tune in, the more wisdom and information there is. And, it's wonderful.
It really is. Like, I go see sometimes a woman who's a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, and she does it's like a massage, but she's going along all the meridians, and the wisdom in there, I still don't even understand what she's doing, but she's telling me about stuff about me that I've never mentioned, and the body reveals it all. So it's the body's got so much wisdom that we have not even begun to tap into.
Oh, yes. And just because it's not necessarily scientifically backed yet does not mean it's not a true thing.
That's right.
Like, I went to a talk about a year ago, and it was called How Trauma Affects the Brain. And I thought or how trauma affects the body. And I thought it would be like a somatic nerd out on the nervous system and stuff. It was just a bunch of brain scans to say, here is evidence that trauma affects the brain. And I'm like, yeah. Duh. We've known this for years. Of course trauma affects our body and brain.
Yeah.
Thanks for the evidence. But
well, it's good that we have it. It's good that we at least have it now, but there's definitely people who are already addressing it, which is wonderful. Even when I started my osteo studies, this was around 2010, 2011, and they started talking then about the brain-gut connection.
Okay.
And back then, I was coming from such an intense scientific background. I'd never heard of that connection before. So I was like, okay, well, this is weird. And it's only once we started getting into treating it and addressing it when it comes up that you see the changes. But it's only now, we're 2025 now. This is 15 years later. Now doctors are starting to tell me about, if you have inflammation in your gut, that can affect your mood because of the brain-gut connection. And I'm just sitting there going like, we're finally here. It's wonderful.
Yeah. It's about time. Yeah. Yeah. It can take a while to catch up, can't it?
That's okay, because I guess they want to back up with the evidence before they say anything. But at least there are some who are moving forward and addressing it.
This is, I guess, where it has to be that beautiful balance, because I look at things from a very intuitive, like, what can I see in front of me? What's my experience? What am I seeing in my clients? Like, being an ADHDer, we pick up patterns very quickly. I can recognize these patterns. I can see what's going on to a certain extent intuitively. And then I get curious and get more information. That is how I work with some professional training as well. And it's interesting to then have the conversation with more sciencey minded people. And also just, finding the balance, because we need both. We need the people probably like me that are like, I've got a feeling, I can't quite say why, but I think this might be a thing. Are there any studies that are being done about this? And then there's probably some people out there going, what can we study? Let's go look into this. This is an upcoming thing. We're seeing patterns of people in the doctors complaining about this, this, and this. So, we need both.
We do.
Yeah.
And in your journey, you also got a diagnosis for ADHD. Was this in that in between, or I think you also said ADHD was later on in your journey, right?
Yes. Yeah. So if I go back to kind of what helped me recover from the ME-CFS, and I'll come to the ADHD in a minute. It's my ADHD brain going all over the place.
I love it.
So I went to see the osteopath. I went to see the personal trainer. They helped me find safety and movement in my body, because at that point, any kind of exercise in my brain and my body was there was alarm bells. No, you can't do anything. So I then found Pilates, and it was the right teacher, the right place, the right people, the right group, that I could feel safe and I could say no, because exercise to me before had just been push yourself to your limits, push till breaking point, no pain, no gain. And I hated it. I did not exercise because, no, that was not good for my body. My body was screaming no, and I was just overriding that. So I found something that my body's like, yeah, more of this, please. This feels good. And then the more I did it, the better it felt. The more energy I had, the more I wanted to do it. So that was a real building point for me of like, oh my God, I found this movement practice. I was also around that time happened to change my diet. So I went vegetarian for a year and then I went vegan, and getting rid of dairy in my diet was an absolute game changer.
Massive.
Taking out that inflammation for me. Oh my God. It was just like someone put my batteries back in.
Yeah.
So that kind of came before I think a lot of the movementy stuff, that I was then like, I have energy. What can I do with this? Yay. And that was like one of the dominoes that helped this lovely movement practice. And I started seeing a therapist. So all of these things just kind of happened to fall in at the same time. I look back now and there's obviously some intuitive nudge of, or the domino effect of, one thing ticks into another.
Yeah.
Because I was seeing these patterns of trauma and I'm like, yeah, it's not always other people. There's a pattern here, and I'm attracting these relationship dynamics and same situations, and there's some pretty big stuff in here that needs to be addressed. And having done that and, taking up space and allowing someone to listen a little bit, diving into some of the stuff that's happened was another turning point.
But also having the safe space to feel like you can talk about it and reveal it and look at it and not be worried about being judged or people being freaked out by whatever comes up. It's a big deal.
Yeah, because I think what I had grown up hearing is, therapy is when like you've got real problems and you only go to therapy when you're too weak to deal with them. And I'm like, but I'm a strong person. I've been through so much and I can handle this. And I think it just got to the point where I was like, you know what? If I wanted help with one thing, I would go to the professional in that. So why would I not do that with this? People specialize in lots of different things. I'm not going to decide to plumb a new bathroom in because I'm not a plumber. I'm going to hire a plumber or speak to my husband because he is one and get them to do it because I don't know what I'm doing. It's not weak or bad of me that I don't have a clue about plumbing a bathroom. Go get the professionals in.
Absolutely. So, funny enough, my husband's an electrician, so it's so funny.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I think all of those things that kind of ticked on to each other meant that within the space of probably a year and a half-ish, I had gone from reliant on a wheelchair to out and living. So it was, I think, May or June 2018. I remember going to see Beyonce and I took my mobility scooter and I had like completely anxiously over-prepped for everything because of bad experiences before. That was the last time I used it. August 2019, so just over a year later, I was single and making up for lost time, and I went partying in Ibiza for a week on my own. So doing all-nighters, having fun, just meeting people, and it was incredible. But I had the energy to do that.
That's right.
And I just, like even now, I can feel the emotion of just the gratitude of being in Ibiza. Like I remember sitting on a bench in Ushuaia, which is one of the big clubs, and someone coming up to me and saying like, oh, how come you're sitting down? And I just looked at them and I was like, I was in a wheelchair a year ago and I'm just taking a breather and then I'm going back in again. That was a year.
That's
how much has changed? And they were like, what? That's amazing. Because you know what drunk people are like as well.
Let me buy you a shot.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And that was one of my sacred lifestyle changes of, yes, I'm out partying in Ibiza and I'm still taking these little pauses before I need them. I'm still in Ushuaia. I'm still listening to, I think I was listening to Calvin Harris, who was live. I'm just sitting down. I'm still here. I'm just not fully in it, just taking a moment.
And to think that you, a year prior, you needed mobility aids to go to a concert. Now you're solo traveling in Ibiza, which is not a small thing. And you're doing this by yourself. It's a
exactly.
major win. It's huge.
Yeah. And anyone that's had or has a chronic illness, chronic pain, it's not just, the physical getting somewhere. It's also, it's the stimulation, it's the sensory stuff.
Yeah.
So yes, I could go to a concert the year before with my mobility scooter. Not being able to walk wasn't the only problem. It was too noisy, too bright, too flashy, too many people, just too much. That would then have had a massive knock-on effect. I still find I'm a sensitive person and I do get affected by all the things, but it's much lesser now. And sometimes, like me and my husband, one of us has always got earplugs in our bag, because some environments we're just like, yeah, it's too noisy, put earplugs in. We're still here, we're enjoying it, you can still hear. It's just toned down a little bit.
I do the same. Sometimes I have to solo parent my kids on a weekend, and by the end of it, my husband comes home and he's like, "What are those things in your ears?" I have the loop earplugs that. But he sees them right away. He's like, "Oh, rough day." I was like, "It was a loud one. It was a loud one."
Yeah, and so sometimes like there's no weakness in supporting yourself and knowing, actually, I need a certain type of chair to be comfortable in. I need a certain type of clothing or heating or diet or whatever. Take up space, own your needs.
It's a huge message. And I don't know if it's, not to go back to the whole, women having to always not take up space, but I feel like, I don't know about you, but I was raised in a, don't say anything, don't take up too much space, don't be a trouble, don't be a bother. And that translates into, even though it may be said with good intentions at the time, it can really get absorbed into a whole lifestyle shift where you end up just always thinking, I can't do this, or I can't say that, or I can't express my needs in this moment because I don't want to be a bother. And it shouldn't have to translate from, if you're just a little kid who's being told, try and just contain yourself versus living your whole adult life that way. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah. And I went to Catholic school, which probably says, yeah, exactly. But even from a young age of like having really severe eczema when I was a kid and saying I'm really uncomfortable sitting on the floor on a really scratchy carpet, cross-legged, and the backs of my knees are really hurting, and just being told not to make a fuss. And eventually you get told that a certain amount of times that you just deal with it, and you realise that those needs are not going to be met. So don't bother even asking.
Right.
Because not only do you not get them met, you then get told off for asking for that.
So it becomes less painful to deal with that pain than the consequences of speaking up.
Yeah, you just kind of, you shrink inward. And growing up, having not really seen a female modelling taking up space and having a voice and being okay with that, like, love my mum to bits, but I grew up seeing her always putting everybody else ahead of her. Mm-hmm. And she will overwork, and there's just always this desperate need to please of, we'll make them cakes and we'll do all this stuff, and I'm like, but Mum, you're exhausted, go and sit down. Oh no, because someone's coming over tomorrow and I have to do this thing. It's like, and then I took that on and learned the hard way about that, and I still see it in her now, and I'm just like, okay, she's seen me, I've said enough.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, it's tough when it's your own family sometimes, but I think by modeling through honoring yourself will hopefully inspire her to honor herself too over time. Sometimes it's leading by example that makes the change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think you asked as well about ADHD, and for so many women, ADHD is seen. It presents itself differently
in the studies that are all done on men.
Boys.
Yeah.
Yes. So for so many of us girls, like a lot of the hyperactivity, it's still there. It's just internalized, and it turns into anxiety
and chatter in your brain nonstop.
Yeah, constant, and all this nervous energy and this very dysregulated nervous system that, we'll see the boys bouncing off the walls and, running around and being disruptive. They then get diagnosed a lot earlier and supported. The girls continue to internalize and mask and try and hide this. And the masking is not just don't be myself and don't say anything. It's almost, it's like a chameleon. It's fitting into, it's mirroring someone else's body language. It's hearing enough and picking up these very subtle cues, which makes me very good at what I do now. Through years of seeing people and knowing how to make someone like me.
Yeah.
And I've got to the point in my life now where I'm like, I don't want to be a chameleon. I want to be me. And if people don't like that, that's okay. But the people that do really like that. And they're my people.
We're not meant to have a million people, be our closest friends. You're meant to have quality lower number, or that's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So this years and years of masking being a female, and then you chuck some hormones in and how our cycles go, and there's all this stuff, and that's why there's so many more, thankfully the last couple of years there are so many more women talking about and being diagnosed with ADHD. And that has been my journey. Is I only got diagnosed like 6 months ago. I've known I've had ADHD for a few years after it's repeatedly been used as an insult towards me. Why can't you sit still? Have you got ADHD or something? Why are you always fiddling with something? You talk a lot. What's wrong? Have you got ADHD or something? And
that's heavy.
Yeah. So what do you think comes up? No.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Because of the negative connotation that comes with it. But what I'm reading more and more, and what I'm noticing more and more, is people who may get that diagnosis, once they have it, it can be so liberating because they turn it into a superpower by actually working with how their brain works for them rather than worrying about what the label is.
Yeah. And trying to mask this knowing that we've probably known for years and years and years that we're different somehow, and not different wrong. When we shift the I'm different, I need to hide this because it's wrong, into I'm different, I'm creative, I have all of these strengths, I'm different, this is incredible when it's supported and we recognize that.
I was just thinking that of, is it really, even the title of the diagnosis, it kind of, when I reflect on it, I go, it has such a negative connotation that it's taken so long for some to get this diagnosis. But what if it's really just there's a whole different spectrum of how people's brains worked, and we've all been told that education and how we absorb information and how we learn is this one avenue. But what if there's supposed to be 20 different avenues on how you learn and absorb information? And if everyone was really in that environment where they could really thrive according to how their brain works, it would be a whole different world, in my opinion.
Yes, definitely. And this is where getting support and leaning into your strengths is so important, because if you look back to like caveman times, there'll be certain people that they'll be the ones in the cave, they'll be like weaving baskets, and they'll be quite content sitting there, weaving the baskets or cooking the food. There'll be other people that will be out there climbing the trees or like trying to chase down the lions and trying the weird berries and being like, is this going to kill me? Yeah, looks nice, I'm going to try it. There'll be the risk takers, and the people that are out there, they'll be the ADHDers, and they'll be the ones that are forging the way that some people might go, you guys are crazy. But thank you, because you've now discovered this new berry, and look at all these things we can do with it, because you ate that and that didn't kill you, and actually it's quite nice that we're the ones out there forging the way and taking the risks.
Well, even now in entrepreneurship, so many entrepreneurs usually have maybe not all, but there are many that I know of in my reference list where they end up at some point revealing that they got a diagnosis of ADHD.
Yes. And often it's because we are creative, but also we've probably, my story, I worked in corporate for years. I've been through so many jobs because I either got bored or they didn't support me, and I was continually trying to be rammed into a box that I just didn't fit in. And working for myself now and saying, well, actually, I work how I want to work and I don't have to answer to anyone or worry that I've just taken a morning off or I'm late or something, that there's no one there watching me. It takes a lot of the pressure off of, why am I not doing things the way everyone else is doing things?
So
and then
liberating.
You've got the stress of that. Yeah.
It's liberating. Yeah. You're still getting the work done, but on your terms and not having someone breathing down your neck. It's lovely.
Yes. And, throw in some nervous system regulation as well. I was continually working from a place of dysregulation, and I see this a lot in my clients and just people in general. When we're dysregulated, we're in that survival state. So our prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for our executive functioning, which is something that ADHDers can struggle with. So that's like the planning, the organization, task switching, emotional regulation, like getting stuff done, basically. That like rational part of our brain, it just switches off because all of our effort and energy is going into survival mode. So we're stuck on a task and we're like, I just need to work a bit harder, just push a bit more, just get this thing done. Like, your brain ain't working. Regulate, go have a break, and it can literally be a couple of breaths. It can be leave your room, go look at go outside, feel your feet on the floor. Like, just such simple basic things that can get that prefrontal cortex switch back on, shift our nervous system state. And this is such a huge, huge, huge important piece of information that I shout and scream about constantly. That I just wish we all knew, because when we understand that, like, there's nothing wrong with us. If you've been working for 10 hours and you're expecting to be highly functioning, you will not. Have a break. You'll get more done when you're rested, you're regulated, you're feeling good. The pushing, the forcing, it just doesn't work. You're just dragging out your time. You're wasting your own time.
Oh, I wish you could have told that to me when I was in my 20s in university, pulling all-nighters every night. Oh my God.
Yeah, I wish younger me knew that as well.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, I look back at pictures of my old self and I just want to shake her. I'm like, you idiot, go to bed. What are you doing up at 3 a.m. in this picture?
Yeah. Oh, but we're doing the best with the knowledge we had at the time.
Exactly.
And if that's what everyone else is doing, we'll probably do it too.
And I think that's why your mission's so important, is because you are taking perhaps, a very tough time in your life where you were suffering a lot, but you are hoping to turn this around and help others learn so that they don't go through everything you went through, which is a really beautiful mission.
Yeah, and I see so often the links between the ME-CFS or the chronic illnesses and ADHD. They're linked. And someone said to me the other day, well, how can I have chronic fatigue and attention hyperactivity? Like,
it's a good question.
Can I be chronically fatigued and hyper? What? Yeah. But as I said, we especially us women, we internalize a lot of this hyperactivity. We exhaust ourselves.
Yep.
ADHDers, we have an interest-based nervous system. We're always looking for novelty. So we'll start a new job and a new side hustle and a new project and a new hobby and this new, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And when we're not always aware of that or supported in that, we will burn ourselves out. And then you put all the masking and the trauma and the lack of support and all that stuff on top of that. And we keep pushing and we keep pushing. It will turn into a chronic illness, let alone the chronically stressed state of our nervous system, our endocrine system, immune, all the systems. It's a recipe for disaster. So these things are linked, and there can be simple, easy, not necessarily quick ways to get a healthier life. Support your strengths, build up your energy, work within your limits without feeling like you're missing out on things. Like, especially for us women, I love the phrase, we can do anything now.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we have to do everything right now.
Yeah. Isn't it wild how women in this day and age, like, we really can do anything, like you say, but we still take on a lot more than we should in all aspects. Like even in career, women will step up and go, I can take on this extra task, or they come home and they still do the same demands that were of us in the 50s in the family life, in the home life. And it's a big recipe that if we don't pay attention and recalibrate, like you're saying, and also voice when it's too much and how we can get support, it is a recipe for disaster where we have to be more careful than ever.
Yeah, and really, I mean, if you look at like the history of humanity, it's been such a tiny weeny time that we are able to get married if we choose to. We are able to finance whatever we want if we choose to, have kids if we choose to, have a career if we choose to. There's all these options now.
Yeah.
That's such a small inkling, but like how much ancestral conditioning, societal programming have we got of this is a woman's place and job? And we live in quite liberal countries.
Yeah. We are very privileged already with the liberties we have. Yes. Yet we still struggle, I think, to find that balance because it's almost in the unsaid things. Like in French, we'll say dans les non-dits. It's like unsaid, where it's just programmed into our brains, not just in the women, but in everyone in society, where we're just, this is how it's been for so long, and we're still unlearning a lot of that as a collective.
Yes. And like I'll show you this book I have on my desk at the moment. It's called A Feminist History of Marriage, because I got married last month. This is a book I took away with me to our wedding.
I love it.
I am very privileged to be able to choose and want to get married. And where have all these traditions come from? I want to be informed with my choices. So yeah, I'm not burying my head in the sand. That is a privilege, but we also don't have to do all the things all at once right now.
So it's a good thing you still got married, bringing that book to your wedding, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know, because I looked at some of the reviews and I was like, am I going to be put off? But no, it's information to know where certain things have come from. And we also did things slightly untraditionally. So because the traditions are not that traditional anyway.
And it's all about the right choice of partner too, right? Like if your husband's very much pro-feminism or pro just equal contribution from both partners, then it becomes a whole other game than if he expects things to be like what's described in those books, in that book, which I'm sure he's not.
Yes, no, exactly. I don't think he'd call himself a feminist, but he's definitely for equality, and he's probably what what feminism stands for. He just wouldn't use the label.
Well, that's it. I say feminism, but even we might go down another rabbit hole by me bringing that up. But there's something heavy connotated with that term. But I believe more in the equal rights and each other uplifting one another, not necessarily suppressing the other one to lift up the other one, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And again, going back to balance, we've seen this in so many different communities and, minorities and all sorts throughout history, that like it can become a bit of a tussle sometimes of where is that balance? Where's too far?
Yeah.
And not going down the politics route. But...
No. Oh God, we're about to have an election over here. Oh, yeah, we should not touch that one.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks. But all to circle back to it all starts, I think, with us as an individual. We can try to improve things for a whole society as a whole, but I think by everyone turning inwards and trying to improve through these little cues just to help them function better in their everyday, I believe overall, once we start with ourselves, it then helps everyone else in the long run.
Yes, 100%, because like you can't pour from an empty cup. Put your own oxygen mask on first. All of those well-known phrases.
Yeah.
That I am very careful to make sure that as best I can, I am looking after myself, and I am not advising or telling people to do something that I am not either well practiced in or don't do myself.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would say, oh, it's easy for me, when actually it's a struggle.
Yeah. And I think it's also okay to acknowledge if you're still struggling with one part of it, because someone else in your clientele might have it easier, and it might turn around that you can support each other on those different ones. But I think it's the human aspect of this is one of the good ways that can help. And it's okay to acknowledge when we don't have it all figured out either.
Exactly. Like, I'm a qualified meditation teacher. I really struggle meditating.
That's why you went and got a certification.
Yeah. But I know what I need now. If I struggle on my own, I will go in person to a group, and that's where I find that collective energy and co-regulation with other people that I'm like, okay.
Isn't it wild when you tune into that? Oh my goodness.
So I give myself more of that, rather than telling myself off for, but you're a qualified meditation teacher. Why aren't you meditating?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? It's like, no, this is just what I need right now.
And that's the best way with self-compassion to go about it. I love it. So when you have clients that come to see you, what kind of process do you bring them through? Is it very tailored to their individual needs, or is it more you kind of go, this is a roadmap, give or take, and we follow the roadmap?
So I have a bit of a framework. So I call it the SAFE framework. Mm-hmm. So the S is for settle, safety first. Always start with safety first. Then the A is about attunement and awareness, and just starting to be aware what's here. The F is the feel and the flow. Okay, what does this need? Can I allow space for this? And how much space can I allow for this? Because also our nervous system can kick us out and dissociate if it's too much. And then the E is the empower and expand. So this is where we take an empowered choice of, do I want to feel this now, or do I want to distract myself? Does this need something? Does this need some regulation, some movement? Does this need to just be seen? And that's where the expansion can come. So there is that kind of framework. But I always say to my clients, we will go down rabbit holes. There will be a theme of nervous system regulation. I will jump in and interrupt, or, just offer a reframe sometimes. But especially working with ADHDers and chronically ill people who've been gaslit and not heard for so long, I try and offer the space that I wish I had when I was struggling. So not telling them. If they need to just come and talk, it's your space. Because in a way, allowing that is regulating. If someone intuitively knows they just need to brain dump, you carry on. I'm not going to stop you. Your body, your system is smarter than whatever my training can say, because you know you best.
That's right.
And it's encouraging people to check in with themselves and learn what they need, and not be reliant on me telling them what they need or any other professional. It's for them to go, ooh, something's a little bit off here. What is that? Or maybe I do need to go and see the osteopath. Maybe actually I need a coaching session or a therapy session or some exercise. But that wisdom's come from them. It's come from within. And that is something I love to guide people through, because that is so empowering, to give them the tools back and know that ultimately they're in control. They have the power, when they've probably felt disempowered and out of control for years, if not their whole life.
I love it. You're teaching them how to really self-empower and self-trust again. And that's what we all deserve and need.
Yeah. And I do this through one-to-one coaching and group coaching as well, because there's also something wonderful in being seen in that group space, not just me as a practitioner, sort of offering and advising and talking, here's my recovery story, but to actually be in the midst of, oh, hang on, I'm not the only one, and I'm not judging you for that thing, so you're not going to judge me for this. And just holding that space is a privilege.
And it's almost like you create I believe with the group coaching, you can create an environment similar to when you're doing your group meditation, where you can all come in and retune yourselves to the same frequency in order to co-regulate all together.
Yeah, definitely. And rewire yourself to take up space as well. And it's wonderful seeing a group of ADHDers, because my husband will laugh, and he says, like, that must be chaotic. Like, how does anyone get a word in edgeways? But there's this beautiful dance of, we might have 3 different conversations going on, but there is just this pattern, this intuitive knowing of when they've been allowed their space. I'm allowed my space. You're allowed your space. It just kind of falls into this wonderful dance when people are allowed and the permission is there to give up, to hold that space and take up space. It's not just one person talking for hours.
Right. It sounds beautiful. It sounds like a beautiful experience when it all comes in
Yeah.
Aww.
It is. Yeah, it is wonderful.
Oh, Jenny, where can everyone find you? Pimp yourself out. Tell us your socials. Give us your website. Lay it all out. Let me hear it.
Amazing. So I'm mostly on Instagram. So if you find me at Jenny Adams Coach, you can DM me the word regulate, and I've got a freebie, which is a 7-minute regulation video specifically for ADHDers, but anyone can use it. If you're feeling overwhelmed or just a bit dysregulated, that there's some really simple tools in there, and that's free video. So if you can DM me the word regulate, or you can go to jennyadams.co.uk/regulate, and you can get that freebie in there as well. You can check me out on my website. I'm on Facebook as well, but don't use it so much. I've also got a podcast called Calm Your Nervous System, where I talk all things ADHD, burnout, chronic illness, and have some wonderful guests on there. And hopefully you will be joining me on there later in the year as well.
I would love to. Anytime you want me, I'll be there.
Yes. And yeah, when the life stuff has been parked or is settled.
Yes. Once you're out of the blitz, and then we can have you re-regulate to your new normal, and then we'll have another chat on your podcast for sure.
Exactly.
Jenny Adams, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today. And
thank you.
We may have to do a part 2, or at least we'll chat more on your podcast, because I feel like we can talk forever. It's just a wonderful time always chatting with you, Jenny. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you everyone for listening as well.
And take care, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you for being a part of today's episode of the Holistish podcast. Ready to take your wellness journey further? Visit Holistish, that's holistic with an SH at the end, .com, to access our latest resources and wellness tools designed to support your holistic health journey. For holistic health inspiration and a behind-the-scenes look at integrating traditional wisdom with modern wellness, join our growing community on Instagram at the.holistish. If today's episode resonated with you, subscribe so that you never miss out on our weekly episodes, and leave a quick review to help other wellness seekers find us. Until next time, stay curious, stay balanced, and keep exploring what works best for your unique body and mind. Your health journey matters, and I'll meet you right back here next week.